Hello guys, welcome to Future of Fortune Academia. My name is Prashant Shankar, ACCA member and a teaching faculty. So ACCA exams are coming very near. You will be writing the exams in the month of December. So by this time you will be preparing well and you guys are revising a lot to pass the exam. So in this video we thought that we will give you some tips on how to clear the ACCA exams. So this is not a stereotype advice from an ACCA faculty. Rather, these are certain points that I followed while writing the ACCA exam, and I have collected these points from various students as well who have cleared the exams. So let's look at those. Okay, so the first tip that I would like to give you is to follow an effective reading and planning the exam. So when you're writing in the exam for ACCA, you need to ensure that you read the questions very clearly. Read the question as well as the requirement very clearly. I've seen a lot of students, what they do is that they do not, they just skim through the question. They do not or read the questions very faster, and they don't take a minute or so to read the question. Before even completing to read the question, what they would do is they would start writing the exam. But what you're missing is certain important aspects in the question when you do that, right? So before even you write the exam, you ensure that you read the question 100% carefully and thoroughly, and you have ensure that you have understood the question even before attempting for the answer. And plan the questions that you're going to write, or plan the sections that you're going to write. Remember one thing, for every exam there are easy questions and there are tough questions. For every scenario there are tough parts or tough requirements as well as easy requirements. So plan yourself before attempting that particular section or before attempting that particular question. Plan the exam, which one you're going to attempt first and which one you're going to attempt later. What I used to do is that I used to attempt the tough questions a bit later and the easier questions first, because for the easier questions it's easier for me to score marks, and for the tough questions, if I keep it at the last, maybe I'll get into the zone or of writing the exam, and there will be a lot of points that I will be able to explain while writing the tough questions later. So I used to follow a methodology where I used to write the tough questions a bit later and come back to the easier questions. And easier questions I will be able to write much faster than the tough questions, because for tough questions I need to spend additional a minute or so to think the points before I write. So another tip that I would like to give relating to the effective reading and planning is for the scenario questions. For scenario questions, the focus is on the requirement. There will be 1,000 things or many points that they mention in the scenario, but what you are required to write or answer specifically is for the requirement that is given in the question, right? So you need to give a lot of weightage on the requirement. So and try to relate back the requirement to the scenario. So that is very simple, and how I used to follow is that when I get a question, what I used to do is I used to first read the requirement very clearly. Once I read the requirement, I know that from which topic they are asking the question, and also I'll be able to know what they are referring to in the scenario. And I know that, okay, I'm not be wasting time. I know which points in the scenario are important for this particular requirement. So I used to read the requirement first and then try and relate the requirement while to the scenario while reading the scenario thoroughly or carefully. I also used to make some notes on the scenario. Olden days it was a paper based exam, now it's computer based, so maybe you can use the scribble pad option to put down the notes for the scenarios. And what that will be able to do is that when you're reading the scenario, there are certain points that you want to write for that requirement, but it might be requirement number 2 or requirement number 3. So that at that time when you're writing that specific requirement, you might have to think again, right? And you might be wasting another 30 seconds or 40 seconds to think what you had thought before while reading the scenario. So just to make sure that I don't forget that, I used to write down on those on the question papers, or I used to write down on my answer notes that what I need to write about these points when I'm writing the requirement. So this also would help you not to waste your time to think again that particular points, right? So it doesn't mean that you need to write every single point while reading the scenario. You can use short words, or you can use abbreviations or mnemonics to easily identify what you are trying to explain or which concept that you are trying to explain. So for example, if the question is related to development assets, you can maybe write the pirate conditions, so that you know that you have to write about the pirate conditions to classify a development asset, right? So those abbreviations might help you to easily remember those points and write those points in your exam. So always remember this, the focus is on the requirement for scenario questions. A lot of students, what they do is they read the scenario very well, they immediately start writing without even looking at the reading the requirement very carefully, and every single time try to relate back the requirement to the scenario. The next tip that I would like to talk about is how to tackle the objective type questions. So objective type question has a lot of weightage. When I used to write the exams, it was more a subjective type, and only in the end of my ACCA career or in the ACCA exams, it was introduced objective type, and that was also a very partial, and I had written only one exam based on objective type. But initially, my F1, F2, F3 exams, now accounting in business, AB, FA and MA, those were all objective type questions. So I got a lot of practice from those. And what I used to follow is to practice before the exam. I used to practice a lot. Every single day I used to do at least 10 or 15 questions, because it doesn't take a lot of time to do the objective type. It takes hardly, like, if it's a 2-mark question, it takes like me a maximum 5 minutes. So I used to spend 1 hour to ensure that I write the objective type questions. And objective type question also would help you, by doing the objective type questions, also will help you to revise the topics that you have learned, right? And it's an easy way to revise the topics, because it's actually questioning the technical capabilities of the knowledge of your syllabus. So you should be very clear about the knowledge, and you should be able to easily very clearly understand the topics when you're tackling for the objective types. So for objective type of questions, what I suggest you follow is that you read the questions very clearly, and this is going to be a common tip for everything, for every type of question. So reading the question and requirement is very important. So read the questions very clearly, eliminate the obvious answers, right? So there are certain points when you know that when you read through those options, you know that it is wrong, right? Specifically when you are doing theoretical objective type questions. For theoretical objective type questions, if they ask a definition, you might know that that is not relating to this particular topic. So eliminate obvious wrong answers, incorrect answers, and try to shortlist the correct answers from the remaining answers. And if you're not able to shortlist, or if you're getting confused, read the question again and then see and look at the remaining answers, and from there you'll be able to get the clear answer. And another thing, this should be your last resort. I never ever suggest students to do this, but your last and final resort, if you're still confused about an objective type question, instead of leaving the question as it is and not be able to score marks, what I would suggest is keep the question to the last and come back. And if you're still confused and if you're still not able to remember the point, try to guess it. But that's the last resort, and that should be your last and final resort. If you have failed for all other suggestions that you have tried, but you are not able to get the correct answer, then try to guess it and try not to leave it. For numerical questions of your objective type questions, what I would suggest is that do the calculations first before you see the options, because your wrong options are your distractors. When you calculate something and you are getting something incorrectly, if you have seen the option already, you might get confused. You will try to pick up the wrong option because you feel that that's closer to your answer that you have calculated. But actually the problem might be that you have calculated something incorrectly, or you have typed a wrong number instead of another number. So that it could be a problem with you, or you would have done something incorrectly, you have done a mistake, but rather you looked at the option and you choose the incorrect one because they are distractors. So wrong questions or wrong options are distractors. So for numerical type of questions in your objective type, first calculate and then you look at the option. Before you look at the option, before you do the calculations, do not look at the options, because once you look at the options, there could be a possible distractions. And another thing is, don't waste your time. If you're not getting the incorrect option, or if you're not able to find the correct option or correct number, do a zero-based approach, right? So what is zero-based approach? You do it again from scratch, and still you're not able to get it. As a last resort, final and last resort, keep the question aside, come back later, and then attempt it with a fresh mind. And still not getting it, then try to guess it, but never ever leave a question, because once you leave a question, you will lose 2 marks immediately, right? And try not to waste your time on objective type questions, because maximum mark that you might get is 2 marks. So hardly spend 4 minutes and not more than that. So the next type of questions that we're going to discuss is about the scenario-based questions, and which are majorly tested in section C. So these questions are time-pressured questions, right? And you might need a lot of planning for your answers as well. So for these type of questions, what I would suggest is, as again, a common point, read the scenario and requirements very well and make notes or pointers that will help you to construct the question. And in case of certain subjects like financial reporting, you can make the pro formas. For example, prepare your balance sheet, give one page to your balance sheet or your income statement, etc., and start with the working calculations and try to relate the notes of the working and mention the same in your financial statements, etc. For other type of subjects, for performance measurement or financial management, try to instead of jumping on the calculations first, try to take a minute or so to think of how you're going to construct the answer. Because many a times I've seen students who would try to calculate something first, but then they realize on midway that they have to first calculate something else. So first take a minute or so to find out what exactly should be your steps that you need to follow to write the calculations first, and then you go and write the answer rather than jumping to write the answer. I know that you don't want to waste your time, but by making an incorrect step, you would have wasted additional 1 or 2 minutes. So to avoid that, I would suggest spend 30 seconds or 45 seconds to plan the question or plan your answer well, and then find out what exactly you need to write first, and then you continue writing the exam or writing the answer very clearly. And also read any additional information that is provided. Sometimes, when you are writing the scenario or writing a specific requirement, it might be for 7 marks or 8 marks, and you have written 5 marks, but you might be stuck somewhere, right? So you might be thinking like, what exactly should I write additionally? I don't know. So think in this situation. The answer is there in the scenario. The question or the requirement is also related to the scenario. So whatever you want to write should be there in the scenario. So it's just about how do you identify those. Every time some of the points that you're going to write from the scenario you might be able to easily identify those. If there are 8 points that is required, 5 of them you would be able to easily identify because it's directly given in the scenario. But certain points would be hidden. So try to find those hidden points. Like there will be, mixed with another sentences or with another points which are given, specifically. So when you reading it, you would be jumping on joy because you have already found the point, but you missed an additional hidden point. So read the requirement again, and when you are stuck somewhere, try to read the requirement. See, eliminate the points that you have already written, and that might help you to identify the hidden point. Now, another point that you need to think about while writing the scenario questions is that, you are given a scenario, and when you are given a requirement as well, it's not just the technical capability that the ACCA are testing you, the ACCA examiners are testing you. It is also how you are able to advise a client or advise your superiors on that specific situation. So if in the scenario, if a situation is given very clearly, try to pick up when you're writing the points for that particular situation, try to pick up the points or examples from the scenario and then relate back to the scenario. This will help you to gain marks, a lot of marks, because the question that they are asking, even though for a specific requirement is from a technical topic, they want you to write and relate back to the scenario. So always remember this point. When let's say an organization, for example, they give you in terms of audit, let's say they give you an example to do a certain audit procedures, right? They would give you that ABC company did not follow this procedure. They did this, they did that, etc. So what you need to do is, what all did wrong? You write the same sentences from the scenario. That will help whoever is correcting the paper would understand that you are able to advise the client specifically to what are they doing wrong and what are they doing right. So every time when you're writing the point, don't just write the technical point or the technical discussions of those particular chapter or subject, but rather relate back to the scenario. Pick up the points from the scenario and write that in your answer, because always the question is on the scenario that is given to you. So always relate back to the scenario and write the points directly from the scenario. And when you are attempting theoretical questions, try to focus on these 3 rules: what went wrong, why, and what is the solution. Because that is what they are looking for. And if you write from these 3 points, I'm sure that you would be able to answer 95 to 100% of the topic, right? So let's say they give you a scenario which is specific to a situation, and if you write what went wrong, you're relating back to the scenario. So ABC company did this and this. So why did they do this? Because they did this because of XYZ reasons. And what is the solution to this? So ABC company should do this in a different way rather than what they are relating to the scenario. So what will happen is, if you write it in these three ways, it will be easier for you to identify what are the points that you need to write. Right? So when you're reading the scenario, if you think of these 3 points, you will be able to easily find and complete your answer in a very good manner. And all your clients or everyone who's looking for the answers for these 3 questions. What went wrong? Why did it went wrong? And what is the solution? And always conclude your questions. Always, for your theoretical questions, conclude. Whatever they are asking for, your requirement, you might need a conclusion. And if they are asked for a conclusion, try to conclude them. Until and unless they are trying to asking you to define something or define a technical content. In those situations, just put the definition. But otherwise, they might ask you, what did they do well? What did not do well? What is the advice that you would like to give? Or those type of questions. Try to conclude it. Whatever your opinion is, state the opinions very clearly and try to pick up the points. As I said, pick up the points, straight examples or straight sentences from the scenario and try to write it, because that will help you for your discussion points, and it will gain you a lot of marks as well. And SSA, the person who is validating your answers would know that you are referring back to the scenario and you are understood the technical content and you are able to identify the technical content from the scenario. And that is why you are required to be an ACCA, right? You need to advise the client. So always remember, when you're writing the scenario, relate back to the scenario, relate back to the situation, and write points from the situation, because the question is there in the scenario, the answer is there in the scenario. You just need to combine them together, bridge the gap between together, and try to answer it in 3 specific points. What went wrong? Why did it went wrong? And what is the solution to it? Okay, so the last top tip is going to be a bit obvious for you guys. It's the knowledge of the syllabus. It seems very obvious, but there is a lot of important aspects that I'm going to talk about. So how do you gain a lot of knowledge? Knowledge doesn't you'll not just gain knowledge just by reading the entire subject or listening to a lot of lecturers or revising 1 or 2 questions. Not just doing that, you will gain a lot of knowledge. For gaining a lot of knowledge, you need to practice. Practice makes a man perfect. Practice is a key to your success, right? So ensure that you are practicing very well. Each and every question you practice very well. Ensure that you are giving a lot of time to revise the topics very well, because that will help you to gain a lot of knowledge. And also, you can, for written contents, you can use certain variety of memory techniques. For example, creating a mind map. So whenever you are studying a chapter, what you do is create a mind map of that chapter. So if you create a mind map, it will take hardly 5 minutes to read the entire mind map of that chapter. And by reading like 5 or 6 mind maps of various chapters, you are revising the entire topics, right? So creating a mind map definitely will help you to revise the topics. Also, it will help you to keep your memory fresh and keep your memory going every single day. Also, you can use a lot of abbreviation in your mind maps. For example, for development of assets, PIRATE conditions. So you can use the words PIRATE, probable, intention, etc. So you can use a PIRATE conditions like abbreviations or mnemonics to short your notes and keep your notes intact, so that every time when you read it, it will hardly take you 5 minutes or 20 minutes to read the notes, but you are keeping your memory fresh and revising your topics in your mind. And another thing that I used to follow is that I used to create, for every chapter or for every subject, I used to create 2 to 4 questions, right? So 2 to 4 questions, but that 2 to 4 questions summarizes the entire chapter or entire subject, sorry. It has multiple topics involved in that particular questions, and I used to read all the questions every single day. So what I'm doing by reading those entire 4 questions, because reading the 4 questions, it will take you hardly 15 to 20 minutes or 30 minutes max. And if you read those questions, you are summarizing, or the entire chapter is summarized in that particular question, and also you are learning how to attempt the question, right? And so since if you get the same question or a similar question pattern in your exam, you would be able to write it very well. Right, so by looking at that questions, creating a few 2 to 4 or 5 short questions, you will be able to revise the topic again and again, and it will take hardly 5 to 10 minutes to read one question. And for entire 4 questions, you would take a maximum of an hour, and that's something that you would be able to afford every single day, right? And another thing that I used to follow is that before the exams, is 3 days before the exams, I used to do 3 mock exams per day. So 3 days, 3 mock exams per day. I used to do 9 mock exams. Because why should I do mock exams? Because when you are revising the topic, right, you have a tendency to look at the answer again and again. But when you are doing the mock exams in the exam conditions, all right, it doesn't mean that you relax and do it 3 hours or 2 hours. Isolate yourself and do the mock exams. When you do that, what would happen is that you are creating yourself in an exam condition, and when you do a lot of mock exams and you try to correct it, you know where you are going wrong. And by knowing where you are going wrong, this will help you to analyze which chapters you need to give more weightage on and revise more. So I used to do at least 3 mock exams per day if time permits. Otherwise, I used to do minimum 2 mock exams. So I used to follow a schedule of 7 to 10 1 mock exams. I used to take a break of 1 hour, and post lunch another mock exams. Again a break of 1 hour, and then another mock exams in the evening. And that will help me to keep on practicing. And by doing 1 mock exams, I'm doing approximately 20 to 30 questions or 50 questions, and 3 mock exams means close to 100 questions. And by 100 questions, I know that I would have revised the subject. And if I do more mock exams, I'll be able to gain more knowledge out of it. And practice is the key to gain more knowledge. And keep on revising, keep on doing a lot of mock exams, because mock exams are very important. That will give you knowledge, and that will give you the real areas that you are not scoring well, and you will be able to gain advice on which exam or which topics that you need to focus more for that subject, so that you would pass the exam. So now let us try to look at certain do's and don'ts for your exam. Do's, definitely a common point: read the questions and requirements well, plan the questions and sections very well, think the pointers well of the written parts of the questions, use step-by-step approach and narrow down the answers. If you are unable to answer it, as I said, as a last and final resort, try to guess it. Check your calculations and try to use a zero-based approach if you are confused, but do not look at the options before you complete your calculations. For narrative questions, try to answer it using 3 approach: what went wrong, why it went wrong, and what is the solution to it. Be confident and positive always. Always approach it with a key confidence. If you have learned the knowledge if you have a lot of knowledge, if you have learned the technical topics, if you have practiced very well, if you have done mock exams, you are checking all the boxes, and I'm sure that you will definitely clear the paper. So there's nothing to worry. Never ever be tensed. Be confident, take it positively. Whatever the results are, as I've been saying, failures is a stepping stone of success. Even if you don't clear, you're not a failure until you give up. So be confident. You have nothing to lose. Be confident and positive. Approach it as it's a simple exam. You know the topics very well. You have studied it very well. Go and ace it. You will definitely ace it. And confidence is a very good key to for passing the exams. All right. And these are the certain don'ts that you need to be aware of. Never ever do this, or never ever try to avoid these don'ts. So the first one is that do not panic and get tensed. As I said, confidence is a key. So never get tensed just before the exam. Be relaxed, be on your comfort zone, enjoy your time minutes before the exams. What I used to do is 5 minutes or 20 minutes before the exam, I never used to revise, because that elevates a bit of tension in my mind. So I used to shut all my books, and I used to do certain revisions in my mind, or think about certain topics. I used to see something that makes me happier, or I used to think about something that makes me happier. I used to think what I would do after writing the exams. That would actually cool down me a lot. So don't get tense. There's nothing to be worried of, nothing to be tensed of. So be positive, take the exam, and do not get tense just before the exam, because once you're tensed, every single time you're regretting what you're writing. So you are again questioning whether you're writing it correctly or not. Because if you're approaching with a tension mind or in a fickle mind, you might not be able to write it very clearly. But with a confident mind, you are writing it on 100% on a positive way, and you're writing it 100% confidently. Second thing is that if you're not able to remember any point, take a minute or so. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, and think what exactly you need to write. Right? And still, if you're not able to do it, try to identify the chapter they have mentioned and try to revise the points of that chapter. Don't waste your time, but do it quickly. And the next point is that do not miss any questions. So plan your questions very well. Do not fail to attempt any questions. Ensure that you are attempting every single question. Let's say you are at the last 15 to 20 minutes of the exam and you still have one question to go. Try to shorten your answers. Do not repeat yourself multiple times, because by repeating yourself you are wasting another 10 or 20 seconds. So just write 1 or 2 points for each scenario and then leave it, right? So that you're focusing to finish all the requirements, and ensure that you're focusing the requirements, but you can leave a bit of gap so that you can fill up the gap if you have last 1 minute or so left in the exam. Do not try to prove any options wrong. Just focus on the correct answer. Just focus on the requirement. Just focus on the technical aspects. Just focus on your knowledge, right? Because what is the key is the concept, right? As I've been telling this to all my students, is that ACCA does not bother about your arithmetical accuracy. Even if you write 1 plus 1 is equal to 4, 1 plus 1 is equal to 5, if you're able to prove that 1 plus 1 is equal to 5, you will be getting some marks. So there are marks that's given to the steps as well that you perform. So this is not an arithmetical exam or an English exam, right? So if you're grammatically wrong, it doesn't matter. What they are testing is your technical knowledge. So ensure that your technical concepts are very clear and sound, because that is what is more important, rather than just focusing on your arithmetical accuracy or focusing on your grammatical errors. Focus on the technical concepts, because if you focus more on that, you will be able to gain more marks on it, right? So the questions are for your technical concepts. If you are clear with the concept, even if the question says if the question is tough or if the question is confusing for you, if you're very sound with your technical concepts, you will be able to attempt it. So guys, I hope these few points that I have shared with you would help you to clear the exam. So I hope you take these points very well, and you use that in your exams, and I'm sure that you will be able to clear the exams. We wish you everlasting success and all the best for your exams. Do well, and thank you so much for watching.